channel, it's your host of the Friday Book Show. It's David, where we discuss everything literature related. So in this segment, we've got an amazing book that I'd like us to talk about, titled Animal Farm by George Orwell. So you guys have probably read the book, you've watched the movie. Yeah, so Animal Farm is a book that's basically narrating the story of how these kind of animals go into a form of a revolution. So they kind of like revolt against their owners. So basically like animals like more like trying to say they're trying to go against the rule of how human beings are like taking care of them, and like how they're basically like slaughtered just to please human beings. So and basically these animals on the manor farm, or rather manor farm, had a cruel keeper. So basically they tried to revolt. So one of the oldest characters by the name of Old Major, he narrates the story of how he would want everybody, describes how he would want everybody to be free, like the dream of how animals be free. So he gives them a tune that they get to sing along, and they get to have this kind of laws that they get to have, because basically these animals are trying to gain their freedom. So even as things go on, we get to know their characters. So there are the pigs there, we've got the animals, the sheep, the goats. So they're basically trying to come up with a way of revolting, going against the human system. So basically we see this happen when these animals finally get the chance to chase the human beings, and they have the chance that we name the manor farm to be Animal Farm. So the funny part about that, there are two characters. So there's a guy called Snowball, there's a guy called Napoleon. So these guys are like my pigs. So they're tiny, like to my tiny pigs that are basically that they grow, okay, basically not really tiny per se, but they're the ones that are more like in charge of the farm. So Snowball is the guy with the brains, he's the guy with all the ingenious plans, and he's got this idea of trying to do this big stuff like get a meal for the farm. Then Napoleon is this guy like, I don't agree with your ideas. So at one time he peed on the plans. Like Napoleon was this guy that was more like, he was more like, he had this kind of like strong attitude about him. Then Snob was this brilliant guy, was always spending time in his study, like in his room where he's always making plans. But then Napoleon had this kind of character, but he wanted to rule, like he wanted diplomacy, like he wanted to rule like entirely. So he has this kind of puppies that he keeps with him that become the huge hounds. Then on one unexpected and then fateful event day, he kind of chases Snowball off, and Snowball is gone. And like every time when things don't go well on the farm, because years pass by and now Napoleon is in charge, and basically these animals have this idea of saying 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. So every time when things that comes to dealing with the farm, they believe that the farm can only be best run by animals themselves, looking for themselves. But as time goes on, they realize that they get to have to relate with human beings, because of course story goes well, like, oh, this is a farm which is run by animals, people are curious to know what's going to happen. So they come to relate with the human beings only when making deals, and when things don't go well or something happens, they blame it on Snowball. There was this strong animal called Boxy. It was like a horse. So it's one that helps to create this windmill, because they believe they could help to solve their problems and everything, because windmill energy and everything and stuff. So Snowball's idea still gets put into place by Napoleon. Now the funny thing about this story is like it's about wit, it's about drama, because at the end of the day Napoleon takes advantage of the fact that the pigs are the ones with the brains and the other animals are the ones that are not so much smart. So as time goes on, Napoleon gets to start changing the laws, and the animals don't seem to remember. So basically anyone who opposes him, gets killed, because at the end of the day we get to see that he changes the rule from saying 4 legs good and 2 legs bad to rather 4 legs good and 2 legs better, because the idea was that since they got rid of the human beings, they didn't want to eat like human beings, act like human beings, and behave like human beings. They didn't even have to sleep and eat and sleep in their bed. But Napoleon brings these new rules, whereby he now changes the laws little by little, because as time goes on, the animals don't get to remember. The chickens, the goats, and all the other characters don't get to remember. And Boxer was always that type of figure, by his, if Napoleon says it, then it's right. It's like he was following him. But Box was used for his strength, like he was a strong horse. But at the time that the whole animal farm was beginning, like the time that they broke free from human control, but as years go on, he gets old, and he gets to the slaughterhouse. He never comes back. So what happens that Napoleon now goes to live in their house, where he starts sleeping in the beds of the human beings and wearing human clothes and eating on food that are basically for humans. And the animals, they don't quite remember, because as time goes on, animal farm has become a very, very progressive farm that even human beings are kind of like, oh, okay, interesting. We didn't think animals would run the farm. Like, I'll give it a couple of weeks, gonna go this, gonna go down. But whoa, guess what? It continued for years. So it's a very witty, very funny, very interesting, and what you get to see is that as the story goes on, we get to find out that little by little we get to see the pigs trying to wear clothes and they're trying to walk on their hind legs and trying to act like human beings. Then the funny part that comes in now, because all the other animals have been manipulated, they've been played with and told with, and don't seem to remember and know much about the rules that have been played because it has been so many years and the rules have been tempered with little by little. So what happens that they get to find that one time, because they're not supposed to relate with human beings. So one time they find that the other animals, they catch the noise, like they find out noise coming from the house. Like, okay, what's going on? They go to their house and they find they're the pigs with the human beings playing games, playing poker, and doing all sorts of crazy funny stuff. Next thing you'll find they're looking from one person to the other, from the pigs to the other. They can't tell who is who because there's no distinction between human beings and animals. So at the end of the day, it's a game of mind play. It's a game of minds. You know, Napoleon plays his cards right. You want power? Be Napoleon. He's the guy that did this. He takes advantage of the other animals' ignorance, the other animals' the inability to be very, very smart and to take care of themselves. And you get to see how Animal Farm just shows about a strong character that comes out, and he comes out to be a stronger voice. Like Snowball probably might have good intentions, maybe even bad intentions, we may never know. But at the end of the day, as the story goes, we get to find out what really could happen because of people who didn't really bother to check out and find out what was this guy really up to, because Napoleon takes advantage of the other animals' ignorance. Even as Animal Farm progresses, the main farm progresses, it just changes everything altogether. So Animal Farm, a great read, a book I've read a couple of times, very, very funny. It's exquisite. George Orwell wrote a very good book, and there's the movie as well. So I don't know if you guys have watched the movie. I haven't. I've read the book like a couple of times. Wouldn't mind reading it again. So basically, what do you think about Animal Farm? Who was your favorite character? There's Molly, there's Clover, there's so many characters. There's Boxer, yeah, Napoleon. So basically, that's all I had today for you guys. So it's the Friday Book Show. We discuss everything literature related. We talk about all sorts of books, fiction, non-fiction. You got it. We're right here for you. So if you like this show, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, and I'll catch you guys next time, same place. So see you right there. I'm out.